Hey there, folks. Welcome to the Matani live show thing. TMC Live, that's the one. That's the one.
What a great intro. We're
Hold up.
good at this. What?
Hey there, folks. Welcome to TMC Live, episode 14. I am Alikchi, and I am joined, as always, by the wonderful Nystrik. We have a decent amount of stuff to cover today. All sorts of new stuff in EVE. We got PAX, we got EU4 expansion coming, LCS stuff is happening. Surprisingly active week, actually, believe it or not.
Not for EVE, but for a lot of other things.
Yeah. It's been exciting, believe it or not. I guess the most interesting stuff for our core audience is probably the EVE stuff. Tiamat is the next expansion coming in February, and they're starting to trickle in details about that. We've gotten pretty familiar with CCP's sort of cycle now that they're having to go through it every month and change. And we're in, like, the very beginning of the Tiamat cycle. We're starting to see what's coming out. And the first thing, which we kind of already knew about, was the Minmatar Tactical Destroyer, the Svipul. Your guess is...
Yeah, I don't actually know how to...
Yeah.
I mean, I like Minmatar ships. I'm a Minmatar pilot for the most part. I do Amara as well on my alt, but Minmatar was my first... When I saw Minmatar ships, I was like, I need to fly these! Oh my god, they're so good. So I'm excited to see the layout of it. Unfortunately for me, I'm not the greatest at, like, okay, this is the slot layout, which means I can do this. Like, there are some people that can look at a slot layout and be like, bam, I know how I'm gonna fit it, but I'm not the best at that. But nonetheless, I am excited to see what this brings to the table. Apparently, I'm louder than you.
Yeah, I see that. I just turned down volume a little bit, so hopefully that helps.
Hopefully that helps. So what are your thoughts on it?
It's hard to tell with these things before they're actually out in the wild, especially considering that they change stuff on CC pretty rapidly these days. But I like it. It looks like you would expect a Tech 3 Minmatar ship to look, which is basically, Legos. It's still chunky and blocky and welded together, but it's welded together with finesse, if that makes any sense. So I like it aesthetically.
I do too.
It's interesting looking, and I always approve of when CCP throws in ships with vertical angling.
Yes, vertical ships are the best ships on the planet.
I agree.
My dream one day is a Naglfar. One day in the very, 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 very distant future. Yeah,
Naglfar would be amazing. Vigils are great. The one thing I have disliked about CCP's direction with most of their ship redesigns and redos lately is that they have been taking away some of the oddness. Asymmetrical ships tend to become symmetrical. Stuff that just looked ugly looks sexy, and that's fine, I guess, but you gotta have a place in your heart for the ugly duckling. So it's nice to see that at least they're sort of sticking with the Minmatar aesthetic, which is not necessarily pretty.
It's okay. It's pretty to me. That's all that matters. Yeah. I will fly your ships, your Minmatar ships. It's fine.
As for the ship itself, it has the same 3 modes so far as I can remember as the Amar one: defense, propulsion, and sharpshooter. It gives you some flexibility. I think it'll be fun to fit with artillery and kite. I think it'll be...
Yes.
Yeah, that's my initial thought with, looks like 7 high slots, 4 mids, 4 lows, 6 turrets, 1 launcher. Yeah, I'm thinking a whole bunch of 200mm or 280mm artilleries, some kind of weak shield tank, and a lot of speed. And I think that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to using this in sharpshooter mode, I think, more than any of them.
Absolutely.
I mean, the propulsion mode will be funny as hell. To just be like, oh no, you got me. Oh, you don't. I'm sorry. You were wrong. Oh, your green screen almost fell over there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. We're professionals. Everything's going fine. Don't ask any questions. Move along.
So, The other thing we got out of this devlog about Tiamat was some adjustments they were making to projectile weapons.
Yes.
So all small artillery are going to be receiving a 10% damage multiplier and a negative 3% tracking speed. So that'll be interesting. I guess balance is the name of the game here.
Yeah, in the devblog, Fozzie, or I think it was Fozzie, specifically called out they wanted barrage ammo to be less applicable at all times. So they're essentially giving all artillery weapons some of the bonuses that barrage gives. Not the whole thing. Barrage will still have some use, but you won't necessarily want to carry it all the time. It's a marginal shift, basically.
Well, I like that direction. Like, they did this before. This has kind of been like a general direction for CCP, where they're trying to make it so that one specific thing is not going to be the be-all and end-all in any particular thing that it is good at. So barrage is not going to be, you have to have this ammo because otherwise you're doing it wrong.
Right.
Same thing with looking at the tier side that they've called it, making sure that there is not one clear winner and that you can actually look at your mods and go, okay, this is the specific fit I want. What mod am I going to use for these fits? I want to be fast, or I want to, hit things really hard and from really far away, depending on how you want to tank your ships. So this is like a general shift for CCP, taking away a clear winner and trying to give people some, especially people who like to fit ships for fun, which we all do, let's be real.
Yeah.
Some of us are bad at it, end up in A-Lods, like that'll be me one day, but
Me too. But
I enjoy the direction they're going.
It's nice that, it's not really about, like, making all ships equal, because I think there are some ships that will always be objectively better than some ships in some way. But I think really what CCP is going for is to provide the opportunity to make interesting choices, as opposed to make the right choice and, hey, here's a bunch of suboptimal choices you can also make. You probably don't want to do them, but they're there. Sure, you can load, I don't know, one of those ammo types no one ever uses in your light neutron blaster. Good luck with that. Have fun.
And people will laugh at you on a fleet and tell you you're bad and wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
That's no fun.
Taking away some of the arbitrary nature of Eve, I think it's a step in the right direction. You can't take it all the way away, but it's a good move overall, and it is part of the overall trend CCP has been following for the past, I guess, year or two now, ever since Fozzie came in.
Yeah. The other trend, we're going to segue here like we would in the meta show, except we don't have fancy graphics, because that's for people, not us. Yeah, the other segue here is going to be the other direction that CCP is going, which they really highlighted in the CSM, was the new player experience and new player retention. That's still very much the goal, and everything they've done up to now has shown that that's very clearly what they're trying to do.
Minds, yeah.
And the CSM notes had quite a bit on ensuring that remained a top priority. But in addition to that, unfortunately, the CSM notes did not give us any information on any of the things we were really hoping to get out of CSM, which was they told us that we would have some info on structures, and how they were planning to change SOV, and both those things are currently under NDAs because they're in ongoing talks. So I'm really sad, because there was a part of me that I was like, yes, we'll have CSM notes. I'll get to read through them. I'll get to know what they're doing. We know nothing.
Nope.
Other than like a general direction.
You get sort of a vibe of some of the things that they're interested in, but it's the CSM notes, it seemed more like it's more about finding out what questions the CSM couldn't get direct answers to. So, CSM member X is interested in feature Y. CCP says they're interested in feature Y too. It might happen. It might not. We're thinking about it. We're talking about it. Anyways, the serious stuff is NDA'd, so sorry about that. I do appreciate them promptly getting it out. I mean, that's a nice shift. Yeah, it's a major shift in a new direction. But, how excited can you get hearing about CCP wants to talk about doing a thing in the indefinite future?
Yeah. I mean, I will say that their comments about like wormholes and the role that they've come to play in EVE in general, especially in getting fleets across space. I mean, some more obvious points to be made there about them that were included in the notes, but I'm still excited to see that CCP doesn't plan on changing the increased use of wormholes. You know, they are on the rise. There's lots of people, you know, jumping through them and using them as ways to get across space and using the wormholes as a, you know, valuable resource. And then I don't know who it was, but someone mentioned that they liked the state of wormholes for fleet movements, and specifically they liked it because it couldn't be relied on for logistics. Right. Because obviously wormholes are always changing, right? So you can't just have someone, you know, it's not easy to always have your eye on a wormhole.
It's not a straight-ahead path. It requires genuine effort. It requires scouting, you know. You can't just dot land your way over to Black Rise from, you know, Declan or whatever. It's a nice shift, I think.
Yeah, so I too, like CCP, I too am happy with the state of wormholes. Not that that needed to be stated in any way, shape, or form. I just thought it was nice that they kind of were okay. No. I was just happy to see that they weren't going to change anything about the way that wormholes being used. So I'm happy about that.
I think wormholes in general probably in one of the best states that any of the EVE, you know, low sec, high sec, null sec, of the 4 major areas, I think that wormholes are probably in the best state right now.
Probably.
They're definitely in a kind of a renaissance of usage of people who aren't just hiding in there with Tengus all the time.
Oh dear. Yes, that is the life of me trying to get out of this wormhole I'm in right now. Oh look, a Tengu. Oh, I'm dead. Rip. Yeah, that's fun.
Self-destruct is your ticket to freedom.
Yeah, I don't have any idea where that's going to take me. I've been trying to get out. I guess I'll just self-destruct. I have no idea where it's going to take me because they changed the way that potting is, right? So I don't have any idea what's going to happen with that.
That's a fun adventure.
Yeah. So the other dev blog we got was ship skins, and we talked a lot of, well, I don't want to say a lot, but we talked a bit about that last week.
Right.
And they came out with an actual like dev blog kind of outlining their goals and what they were doing. So I don't know if you really have anything to say about that. Most of what was in the dev blog we heard about in the 07 show.
Right. I mean, most of what I would say about skins is I would reiterate what I had said last week, which is, yes, all that is great and fine. I want Corporation and Alliance logos. I want Alliance skins. I want to see my ship's name literally on the ship. Good job. Keep it going. The one thing I did note from that devlog, which I think you brought up earlier, which is that they mentioned being held up by old code, which is something that's come up a lot for CCP over the past few years. Being indebted, unfortunately, to code that's been around for, you know, a decade plus. So they're having to redo a bunch of that sort of thing. I know that they had to redo a bunch of the graphical code for PBR, physics-based rendering, and it's good to see them tinkering with all the guts of this, because it, as they say in the devlog, it means that they'll be able to add more ambitious features in the future. That's a nice thing to see. But
also, just to answer a comment in the Twitch chat, I do want a dick butt skin.
That'd be nice.
I want it. All right. It would be nice. I think the last thing really about EVE, unfortunately, because we don't really have a whole lot yet, is we published it the article on OnlineTiamat.com about the C-level executives being let go.
That's right.
You wrote the article, I believe. So I'm going to let you talk about this, because other than the implications of CCP was crashing and burning, so they let C execs go, is it like, I don't really know exactly the implications here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, you know, it's kind of a black box thing in some ways. CCP is required by American labor laws to disclose when they let go some employees, those that are American citizens, but, you know, the C-level, the corporate level executive leadership of CCP has been mostly Icelandic for quite some time. I think that this past year, most of these firings were from September to October, with a little bit in August as well. Excuse me. They really were purging the old guard. I think Hilmar's the last Icelandic person on the corporate level right now, apart from the new guy that they brought on, the new CFO. who's from Lazy Town, which is funny in its own way. But yeah, they've. I think it started when they brought on Sean Drecker and the other Americans when things were looking really bad a couple years ago, and you know, getting rid of people at the corporate level, people who've been around for 8 to 10 years. That's something that takes time. It's probably good for the company. You know, these are people who have been. I don't want to say coasting, but they were definitely asleep at the wheel when Incarna happened, when all of these famous incidents happened. The complaints that you see on things like CCPs, I forget the name of the site, but the ex-employees site, Open Window, something like that. It's always about the corporate culture. It's always about, you know, these Icelandic people who all know each other and cronyism and things like that. So I think somebody was listening to the scuttlebutt at CCP, and when they brought in the new people, they thought to clear out the dead wood. Whether that's a good thing or not, we'll just have to wait and see. Losing Gallo and Reed, I think, was bad. They quit, I think, not because they were fired, but because they closed CCP San Francisco, which probably necessary from a financial standpoint, but still some good people there. Yeah, this is something that happened late last year to mid last year, and CCP has been ticking along just fine since then, so we can't say that it's like a disaster or something.
Yeah.
We can just say that the company's definitely in transition. But,
yeah.
you know, they've been putting out good work and during that period and after that period and up till now, so maybe in the end we'll say, hey, they cleared out some dead wood, they brought in some new blood, things are moving in the right direction.
Yeah, only time will tell, I guess. We'll see what
Exactly.
happens.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of turnover at Iceland.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of people gone to other companies. Like Riot, way to go Riot, steal all the CCP people. But no, I mean, for what it's worth, even though CCP has seen a lot of change, so far they're doing really well with it.
Absolutely.
So we can only hope that it continues on that path.
Right.
So.
They're on a good trend right now, and if this losing a few executives is part of that trend or has contributed to that positive trend, then I'm all for it.
I just want a good game to play.
Yeah, I don't care about anybody who doesn't have a CCP name. Get rid of them.
Yeah. So I think, unfortunately, that brings to an end all of the Eve news.
Yeah,
not really
20 minutes of Eve news, everybody.
But it's okay because there's a lot of other news, including Alikchi's journey to PAX South.
Ah, yes. Journey into the heart of dorkness. It's a great time. I can give you my gonzo journalism spiel about how there was so much bad hair decisions. It was impressive, and the scale of BO smell from like never showered to I've put on 17 pounds of perfume for my cosplay outfit. It's an experience. It's a physical experience.
I've been to conventions. I've been to a lot of conventions.
Uh-huh.
I go to Fan Expo here in Toronto,
Yes.
which is the equivalent of Comic-Con for us here. And I've been to Anime North and every other con in between.
Mm-hmm.
And a few cons locally. And yeah, it's always a lot a lot when someone's like, can I take a picture with you? And I'm like, sure. And then they get close and I'm like, oh, you smell. Oh, no. Oh, and I have to like sit there and hold my breath and hope that it's going to be fine. Yeah.
I felt bad for those girls. Oh, I felt bad for them.
Oh, yeah. That's a thing.
Yeah. No, it was jokes aside, it was unironically a good time, and I got to see a bunch of fun stuff. You know, basically PAX South, it's the first ever PAX South. It's a giant, weird Texan convention center full of nerds and loud music and video games and computers. If you've never been to a PAX, it's an experience. But I definitely enjoyed it. Yeah.
I will one day, hopefully. So, I mean, I know that you're probably working on some articles about some of the stuff you got to see there. So anything we can look forward to?
Well, the one article that I've published so far is about Homeworld Remastered. I got a chance to sit down with that for about an hour, played a few missions. I came into this as a skeptic. Gearbox redoing things, my immediate thought was, oh my god, they're gonna Colonial Marines, my beloved homeworld. It's gonna be a fucking disaster. But no, they seem to have genuinely taken the IP and the franchise seriously and treated it with respect. The devs are clearly passionate about the story. They're passionate about the setting. They brought on original artists to redo the cutscenes, redraw them in high definition. And I really enjoyed my time playing with it. It seems loyal to the memory of Homeworld, which is, I would be happy if they just spruced up the graphics, made it widescreen, and moved on. And thank God that is pretty much what they have done. They have not fucked it up, which is all I asked for.
Yay!
And I might actually play Homeworld 2 because it never looked good to me. But hey, maybe it's pretty enough for me to give it a shot at this point. So that I am heartily optimistic about. It should be good. I sat down, I did an interview with Elite Dangerous producer Eddie Simons, which should be going up on the website tomorrow. Got a few choice quotes from him about the potential for exploiting things like goons and Reddit for EVE-style communities, so that should be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
A little bit of talk about some more nitty-gritty details and the new community events that they're doing, but you can read about that tomorrow. I sat down with a game which is in a pretty early stage of development called Stellar, which I think I'll also have a piece out about tomorrow, which it's interesting. It's very, very early. It's like the first build. They still need a year to go on it. But these guys, it's a small indie team, 4 people out in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And they've mostly done mobile games, like sort of audio surfy type rhythm games. But now they're trying a procedural arcade space shooter. The gimmick of the game, Stellar, Gossamer. The gimmick of the game is that you can switch from a sort of a 2D traditional flat space shooter mode, like an arcade style. Then you can hit your button, switch to 3D over-the-shoulder Star Fox style. And there are enemies that are easier to defeat in 3D mode. There are enemies that are easier to defeat in 2D mode. It's actually looking pretty promising.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and since they have this background with the rhythm games, things like your shield display pulses with the music that you're listening to, the enemies sort of dance with your
awesome!
Music. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And it'll have Oculus support and stuff like that.
I'm gonna have to try this now, damn it.
Oh, they're
one small feature.
Right yeah.
One tiny feature, and I'm like, ooh.
It's the little things. It's music integration for me. It's things like having your names on things. Like, what hooked me to EVE was that I could name my ship, and suddenly I'm attached to this, blob of polygons.
That I've named Butts.
Yeah.
Because I'm very creative
Absolutely.
with names. That's usually what my ship names end up being.
Butts Mark 17.
Yeah.
But, so, that I'm genuinely excited about. Should be Steam, Android, iPad, iPhone release. I look forward to it. And, one last big one, Rogue Galaxy. If it wasn't obvious, I basically looked at everything in PAX South and was like, does it have spaceships? I'll go talk to those people. Ooh, a spaceship, I'll go over there. And,
I did notice.
Yes, Rogue Galaxy does have spaceships, so I went and talked to the developer. It's the same guys who did Torchlight 2 and Torchlight, and it actually uses the Torchlight 2.
Oh, I love Torchlight.
Yeah, it actually uses the Torchlight 2 engine, even though it's a 3D space game. And it's interesting. It reminds me kind of like a meld between, like, Tachyon the Fringe and a Diablo-type game like Torchwood. But it's... The space combat, you're basically you can be... a trader, a pirate, a police enforcer type person. It's an open-ended sandbox universe. But the combat itself is very interesting. It's a third-person view, and it feels like the combat is modeled on like 16th century ships of the line. Like you're firing broadsides at each other as you circle around. It's so you're not so much a fighter pilot as you are a Star Trek-style captain. and you go from mission to mission, from outpost to outpost, going to the bar and listening to the bartender for rumors, picking up missions, hiring mercenaries to help you out, responding to distress calls, that kind of thing. It's looking really good, actually. It's maybe a little bit more arcadey and console-y than I would like.
Yeah.
But then I'm shitty with controllers, and I was using an Xbox One controller, so I just kept missing my broadsides. But unironically excited about it. It looks good, and the developers obviously have a lot of experience putting out polished products, so I'm pretty excited. They've been trying to do space games for years, apparently, and this one looks like it's actually going to make it. The market's
That's
ready
good.
for it anyways. Yeah.
For sure, definitely the market is ready for it. That's an exciting list of games, though, that I'm going to have to try at least 2 of, so that's great.
Yeah.
More games and money that I don't have to spend on games.
Yes, indeed.
Speaking of money on games,
Ooh, boy.
Heroes of the Storm. Yeah, they've released a Founders Pack, which actually really pisses me right off.
Ooh,
yeah,
tell.
so we're gonna talk about this a little bit. So this is a trend that I've noticed with a lot of games recently. This trend towards, if you want to play our shiny beta, you have to pay for it. Whatever happened to good old demos and beta key invites? I personally have been playing Blizzard games for at least 10 years. And, you know, obviously as someone who's played Blizzard games for a long time and spent a lot of money, you know, I was hoping deep down that I would get a beta key or an alpha key. And then they were like, no, all you people, you're just gonna have to buy into the Founders Pack.
Lovely.
Why am I going to spend money on a game I'm not sure I'm going to like yet? And this is a trend, and I don't like it. I really don't like it. They did it with ArcAge, where you could buy Founders Packs for $50, $100, and $150, I think, which is
insane. And it
which
was
is
a
an insane,
fiasco.
yeah,
Yes.
which is an insane amount of money, because I wouldn't spend $50 on that game as a finished, polished product.
Right.
Let alone buying a Founders Pack for $50. So that was a bit ridiculous. So I don't know. I don't like this trend. I don't like the buy-in thing.
Yeah,
buy-in to betas and alphas. I'm not a fan.
Mm-hmm. It's manipulative, especially when it's phrased in the way that it's a privilege for you to get to play this game first. All you have to do is pay a little extra, give us a little taste, and then you end up being basically a beta tester without salary. It's it's not a good trend.
And then to play it for like a week or 2 or even a month and be like, you know what? Actually, this game really isn't for me. Like, there's going to be some people that are going to look at, for example, Heroes of the Storm and be like, oh, it's kind of like League of Legends, it's a MOBA, let me try it. And then go in and try it and be like, oh, it's nothing like League of Legends, I hate this game. Which is a thing that happens with MOBAs. People go and try Dota 2 that are into League of Legends first, and vice versa, that go into the game thinking it's going to be like League, and when they find out that it's a little like League, but not enough, they're like, oh, I don't like this, and they'll go back to League of Legends. But you don't have to pay for Dota to give it a try. You just give it a try. And it's fine, no harm, no foul, right? Yeah. And then, I mean, yeah, you pay for the beta and you get to be a shiny beta tester and you get a bunch of crap that they give you because you're a beta tester and you paid for it. Mm-hmm. But who gives a crap?
Yeah, it's trinkets, it's funny, a few years ago we were all decrying free-to-play, but the free-to-play model of Dota or Team Fortress 2 seems a lot more honest and forgiving than, hey, buy in now, we'll finish the game eventually.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Can anyone stay Star Citizen? We shouldn't talk about that.
2 quick notes. First, it's Rebel Galaxy, not Rogue Galaxy.
Yeah, I wondered if they were stealing a title. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Secondly, I'm pretty sure you're not ginger. You're a brunette. You just look ginger because of our lighting.
Me or you?
You. You're not ginger, are you?
I am. I'm a redhead.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God. This is way too ginger. This is way too... Shut it down. Jimmy,
It's
shut
gotta
it down.
go.
Turn it all off.
Yes, I'm definitely a ginger. Yeah, this is fun. I think someone mentioned in the comments. Together we make like half of a soul.
Yeah. I think 3/4, something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. I don't care for this. We need Dave back. We need Dave to bring some, regular Homo sapiens back into this.
If you guys want Scarus back, remember to spam it in like comments to every Matani article and to like send emails to thematani.com and be like, we need Scarus back.
Over and over, yes.
Yes, and eventually he might listen, so we'll see. But the other thing that I wanted you to talk about is the new Europa Universalis expansion.
Yes. Now, this is actually... EU4 probably was my game of the year last year, and I'm kind of burned out on it at this point, but I still love it dearly. If you aren't familiar, it's a Paradox game. It's a historical strategy game. Covers about 1444 to 1820-ish. And it's great. That's all I have to say about it. The expansions have made it better. They've focused more on, expanding the world. The most recent one, Art of War, added so many provinces and places that had been underserved before. Places like, Africa, Central America, Native America, East Asia. So it's actually fun to play as someone like the Aztecs or as
we're not just
Mali
sitting there for
Ghana.
100 years waiting for smallpox to wipe you out.
Yeah, just sitting around waiting for smallpox or waiting for some conquistadors to screw you over. No, now they're actually...
The name of the new expansion is El Dorado, so I'm assuming it's going back to improving the South American play.
Right, improving the South American play, and of course, improving the play for the Western colonizers. So, the experience with exploration in EU4 so far has been you pay for an explorer, you give him a ship, and you just sail around and find, Cuba or whatever, and then you send a colonist to it. And the rewards are inherent. Now there's going to be sort of a built-in missions type thing. So you can hire a guy, give him a fleet, and say, okay, I want you to go all the way around the world for me. And the first nation that gets all the way around the world gets like a 50 prestige bonus or something ridiculous like that. What else am I trying to say? Yes. Treasure fleets are going to be a thing. So you don't just automatically absorb the profits of your colonies into your treasury. Now there are going to be things like the famous Spanish treasure fleets from New Spain to Spain itself that can be intercepted and pirated, which would be a good time. So you have an actual object to protect on the Navy, on the Atlantic or on the Pacific as your treasure goes from your colonies wherever in the world back to the homeland. And for the colonizers themselves, the victims of colonization themselves, one thing that I've always wanted, they're implementing, they are throwing in Aztec, Incan, and Mayan religions, I believe.
Okay.
And the Aztec and Incan religions have an interesting mechanic called Doom. Now,
that's a name for it.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with it, these are religions that required human sacrifices. They required blood to keep the sun on, basically. So you have a mechanic where if you don't, say, conquer a province every 10 or 20 years, some bad things start to happen. Doom approaches. You might, without having, if you just sit around on your butt, maybe you have to sacrifice your monarch. Maybe your country collapses in on itself. Maybe it's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's still pretty vague, but I'm very, very excited to see exactly what they're going to do with it. Should be coming out next month, I believe.
Just to say hello and welcome to Freighter109, who just subscribed.
Hey,
yay! We have a subscriber. Thank you so much.
Very exciting.
Yes, very exciting. I think the last thing we're probably going to talk about, unless there's anything else you wanted to say, is the LCS. I'd like to talk a little bit about it just because it's what I'm very interested in.
Go hog
if people
wild.
if people will bear with me.
I'll
So season
indulge it.
5, the LCS started. Very exciting. A lot of teams that you expected to do well, unironically shit the bed. Teams like Alliance, who brought on Reckless, arguably the best ADC in NA and EU, actually didn't do too well. I think they've got to work on their coordination. Once they figure out their cohesion and how they work, they'll be fine. But their first week was really sloppy. Ironically, Fnatic, a team that was completely gutted and rebuilt, did amazingly well. They synergized well, they played well. I was just completely shocked to see their performance. Piglet didn't play for Team Liquid, which I'm really mad about because he's on my fantasy team. Yes, we did fantasy LCS.
You and how many other people?
10.
Aww.
Oh, I guess 9. Me and 9 other people. That makes 10.
That's an
I'm bad at math,
adorable little
though.
league, though.
I know, it was a lot of fun. Well, I mean, I think you can only build it out of 10. They've got like an actual tool for it now. Like a lot of people were doing it before, and then last season they built an actual like Riot built fantasy thing. Yeah, I know, fancy, right? So we did that because we're nerds, and Piglet screwed me out of points. But it's fine. It's fine. I didn't even want him to play for week 1. Cloud9, another team that came out of the season and were completely the same, and they were a team that were always top dog. Again, kind of shit the bed. Did shockingly not great. There was a lot of plays and a lot of team synergy where I was like, where is it? You guys are the same team. You should be fine. Whereas every other team was completely changed around. Why are you the ones doing poorly? I think the only team they were able to beat was a team that had like 3 subs that week.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
rough.
TSM wondered, which is a joke that only people that watch the LCS and TSM will get. But I think they still are. There's one team in first, which I think it's Team Liquid, which shocks everybody because they were formerly Team Curse, which are supposed to be 4th place. Supposed to be 4th. Forever 4th, they're now 1st. But they've only played 2 games. What? Hey, what?
No, hey, good for them. They're in first.
Oh, yes. Okay. Sorry, I thought something important happened. And then every other team, then every other team is tied for 2nd, I believe. So, well, because it's
That's
only week
intense.
1, and they've only played 2 games each. So you have one team who's won twice, and then every other team who's won and won. So that's unfortunate. I'm looking forward to see how the rest of the season plays out.
Yeah.
And I hope Fnatic keeps doing well, because I just do, because I have a lot of them on my fantasy team. And Cloud9 needs to get their shit together. Okay, I'm good.
Okay. This is all like a different language to me.
Yeah, I know.
I think I have just a couple of things left to say, and then we can shut it off.
We can shut it down and get the
shut
ginger
this
off the
shit
screen.
down, yes. I can get to work on coloring my hair, as has been required. Gossamer asked about Planetside 2, the best loadout for the Vonu Max. Straight up, blue shifts. You want blue shifts, unless you're fighting vehicles, in which case you want comets. You want the armor, it's not composite, the other one, the one that will protect you against explosions, because you can always deal with the infantry bullets, or you can just run away from them. But it's the guys with the heavy assaults with the rocket launchers that really fuck you. You definitely don't want auto repair unless you're on your own, and but you should never be on your own. You should always be playing with a group. Blue shift is the long range heavy gun. I'll pretend that you're shit at the game. Sure, whatever you want, Gossamer. It's a long range, good for popping heads. The other Vonu sort of hand cannons for the Max they're very much close range deals with a lot of spray. You want the blue shift because you can actually strafe and still hit things from a distance. You take comets if you want to kill vehicles or anything with armor. But honestly, things could have changed. It's been a while since I've played, and one thing you can say about Sony is they are always changing PS2, and that is something that you can say in their favor, because that's a game that needs some changes sometime. But Yeah, I think that's about it when it comes to Vonu Max loadout. Maybe I should play that game again sometime, and I'll give you something more accurate. But blue shifts, and don't be by yourself, because you'll get killed. That's PS2.
Sounds pretty accurate.
Yeah, I don't think we have anything else that we want to cover, do we? It's been a solid 45 minutes.
All right, is that going to be our new stopping time?
I mean, that was our stopping time last time.
Yeah, it was.
We had to drag it out a little bit, but I think 45's good.
This is what happens when Scaris isn't here.
Exactly. Without
For all of you that know and care, he brings a very interesting perspective to
he brings
to
about
the
15
podcast.
minutes of perspective, I think.
I agree. That's about the approximate of what he brings.
But, yeah, no, I think we can probably go ahead and call it a show.
I think we can. So,
right.
Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Thank you, folks.
And we'll talk to Scaris, because clearly he's missed. So we'll talk to him. And if you liked us, obviously make sure to tune in next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Copyright goes here. Whoops. And then if you have comments, concerns, the YouTube video should be posted within a day or two. Same with the article. I know that I skipped last week's, but I will probably just leave it and just upload this one. 'Cause it's kind of late for it now. But yeah, leave us comments, tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like, tell if you want Scaris back, etc.
Absolutely.
And we will see you next week.
Thanks, folks. See you next Monday.